Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Ron, and I speak to inspire. The purpose of my videos is to help you be more, do more, and have more in life. I do this by sharing life lessons that I've learned in life, and they'll always be based on spiritual principles. So in this video, I want to help and teach you how to give a turbo boost to your self-confidence. A turbo boost to your self-confidence, because we always need self-confidence in order to accomplish the things that God wants us to accomplish in this life. First of all, let me share my experience on self-confidence. So I grew up as a shy kid. I was timid. I was nervous. I had social anxiety. I didn't like the way that I look. I had all these inward insecurities, and inwardly I felt like a grasshopper, and everybody else was a giant in my eyes. And I basically lacked self-confidence. So I know what it's like to not have self-confidence, and I've had to go through a journey in life in order to build up the self-confidence that I have. So I want to share with you some basic lessons that I learned. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Tip number one, I would say, is open up yourself to a relationship with God. Open up yourself to a relationship with God. I believe having a relationship with God is one of the biggest boosters to self-confidence. When I opened up myself to a relationship with God and I began my relationship with God, I learned that I was made in God's image. And learning that I was made in God's image, I looked at the things that God had created. He had created the star. He had created the moon. He had created animals. He had created the lion. He had created butterflies. Everything that he created was beautiful, and I could stand in awe at his creation. Well, if he created those things, and he also created me, that meant that I had worth. That meant that I had value. That means the way that he looked at me was the same way that he stood in awe of his creation. And that automatically boosted my self-confidence. I read things in the Bible where he took timid little shepherds and made them kings. He took timid little people and made them warriors and gave them great purpose and basically enabled them to accomplish great things in life. He wrote things in the Bible basically letting me know that I was fearfully and wonderfully made, that he knit me together with his own hands in my mother's womb. So all these things helped me to realize that I could have more self-confidence, and it gave me more self-confidence, knowing that God was with me and knowing that I was his creation. So the first thing that I would say is open up yourself to a relationship with God, and it will automatically boost your self-confidence. In my opinion, the Bible is the best book on building up your self-confidence and your self-esteem. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, focus on your strengths and not your weaknesses. Focus on your strengths and not your weaknesses. It's natural for us sometimes to always focus on our shortcomings, to focus on the things that we lack, to focus on the ways that we fall short, comparing ourselves to everybody else. I want to tell you that the only person that you should compare yourself to is who you were yesterday. That's the only person that you can compete with, who you were yesterday, and improve on that person. So focus on your strengths. There's certain talents, there's certain gifts, there's unique things that you have been naturally given as a human being that other people don't have. And if you put all your energy and focus 90% of your energy on that, I guarantee you it will boost your self-confidence. I think about teenagers in high school. People in high school that I used to go to high school with, there was always that guy that wasn't the most attractive, but yet he had a magical personality. And that magical personality, the girls liked it. They liked his confidence. They liked his bravado, and it drew people in. Why? Because he was unapologetic about who he was. He knew that he was made in the image of God, and he focused on his strengths and not his weaknesses. So when you focus on your strengths, it'll automatically boost your self-confidence. So that's tip number two. Tip number three, look inward for affirmation as opposed to looking outward for affirmation. Look inward for affirmation as opposed to looking outward for affirmation. What do I mean? When I had low self-esteem, I lived in quiet desperation of other people's approval. I needed somebody else to come along and give me a pat on the back in order to feel good about myself. I needed other people's words of affirmation to feel good about myself. But when I realized that I could self-affirm, when I realized that I could self-accept, when I realized that I could speak to myself and have an inner conversation where I was constantly affirming myself, it changed the game for me, because everybody else's words became a +1 to mine. I was able to meet my own needs as opposed to depending on other people. And my opinion became the only one that really, really mattered, because I had to live with myself. Everybody else was an opinion that they saw through their lens, but the lens that I saw through was the most important lens, and it was the lens that I was going to die with. So when I realized that I could look inward for affirmation and that I could self-affirm, that ultimately changed my life. So the first thing I did is I changed my inner conversation. I began to speak well about myself, and that automatically boosted my self-esteem. And it manifested as self-confidence. It manifested as me being sure of myself. You know, when all I did was I did a little bit of work, and I learned to self-affirm and self-accept, and that ultimately changed my life. So let's sum it up. Tip number 1, open up yourself to relationship with God. It'll automatically boost your self-confidence. Tip number 2, focus on your strengths and not your weaknesses. We have weaknesses. We fall short in certain areas. Yes, accept it, work on it, but place all your energy on the things that you can do. The things that you can do will get you where you need to go in life. So focus on that. Tip number 3, look inward for affirmation. Look inward for affirmation. Self-affirm, self-accept. If you have to start off with just saying 5 little affirmations about yourself that you believe about yourself daily while looking in the mirror, it will do wonders. Thank you for watching this video. I know you got something out of it. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. If this really helped you, leave a comment. Tell me what you got from the video. And most of all, God bless, and there is greatness on the inside of you, but it's up to you to unleash it. Thank you guys. God bless, and see you on the next video.